Act 2 of Episode 1 Echoes. Bungie released a bunch of information on what's releasing next week. 3 new battlegrounds, new weapons, a new row of perks unlocking in your seasonal artifacts centered around snipers. Solstice returns with some armor previews, and Bungie confirming they're doing something a little bit different in Episode 2 Revenant, dropping all 3 weeks of content for each act at one time. Let's dive right in. So let's first begin with a big change coming in Episode 2. Now they did mess this up in the stream, but we're able to correct it. In Episode 2, they're going to be dropping all 3 weeks of content for each act at the same time. So like in Echoes, instead of waiting week after week like we have in the past for seasons, you'll now have all 3 weeks of content at once, allowing you to play through it at the pace you enjoy. I'm assuming there's still going to be a little break after that, so release Act 1, you can play through all of it if you wish, and then wait a couple of weeks for the next act to drop. Again, that's going to start in Episode 2 Revenant, so let us know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. Are you excited for it, or do you like the week-to-week drops?
We're going to be dropping all 3 beats of the acts at once. So we'll be dropping all the 3 beats for Act 1 at the same time, all the 3 beats for Act 2 at the same time, all the same beats for Act 3. And the goal is to encourage players to play at their own pace, to get all of that content at once if that's what they're looking for, or to meter it out over whatever pace they want to play at.
Now let's talk about Act 2, which releases next week for Echoes. They talk a little bit about the story. All memories inside the witness collided with the light of the traveler and made matter called echoes. We followed one of these to Nessus, and things seem okay at first and lighthearted with failsafe as we explore Nessus, take samples, and try and figure out what's going on. In the end, things take a twist as Saint gets controlled by the conductor and things get dark. For Act 2, here's some of the new activities and things that are going to release. Act 2 will feature 3 brand new battlegrounds that all sort of link together. We've had battlegrounds activities in the past through various seasons, but the Echo Battlegrounds are going to add some new changes. The first 2 battlegrounds will be available in Week 1 of Act 2, and the third one will drop in Week 2. The whole goal of these battlegrounds is to run through Nessus and discover what the Fallen are up to. Radiolaria here from the cistern is being drained, the environment changed. And in each battleground the story is going to connect, figuring out where this is all draining to at the center of Nessus. Where the first battleground ends location-wise, the second one will pick up. So yes, while they're separate activities and battlegrounds, they all go through this cohesive story and location experience. Story-wise, from what they showed, we know the Fallen want this Echo too. It's an arms race and everybody wants the power after the Witness's defeat. The Elixni here of House Dusk have a chance to take it for themselves. The Vex have been acting more like individuals compared to a collective, and now is their chance to jump in and seize this power. They compared the battlegrounds to more like strike activities, just like we're used to a couple of encounters and then a final boss. Combatant numbers are pushed up, allowing you to use your abilities and prismatic powers, and like battlegrounds of recent, they will feature new locations on your way to the center of Nessus. Some will start off in these patrol zones and then venture into new areas crafted by the teams. Apparently there's also a new Wyvern enemy that can teleport, so if you're freaked out by those Vex units already, this is going to be pretty scary. Act 2 will also of course have a new story and alongside that new weapons. They showed off a few of them in the stream, like the aberrant action rocket sidearm which is solar. The Corasian Pulse Rifle, and the Perfect Paradox is back with some other Season of Dawn weapons, original and new perks, and the new Cast No Shadows origin trait.
A little animation there. It's pretty neat.
It's going to be addictive, honestly. Got a very Vex Mythoclast feel to it, honestly.
And yeah, this is, we introduced this subfamily with Final Shape, and this is the third one of these. The role that we've got here, High Impact Reserve is left column, also always very good, and Vault Shot right column, that's pretty strong. I would also look at getting Frenzy right column, because High Impact Reserves is great, but doesn't give you any stats, so having Frenzy gives you a bit of damage and those stats as well, and very high uptime, along with a bunch of other Dawn weapons. This is the one we're dropping in this act. And yeah, all of the perks that you know and love from the original, plus a bunch of new ones, plus the new origin trait, Cast No Shadows, which if you're doing a melee build, just synergizes really nicely with it. So, Threat Detector left column, and then Trench Barrel if you're just doing damage with weapon, or 1-2 punch if you're doing a melee build. Yeah, it's a ton of fun, and fits in really well with the rest of Saint's arsenal.
A new row of perks is going to be unlocked for the seasonal artifact. 5 brand new mods leaning into sniper rifles and solar damage, so hunters get those exotic snipers ready. You have Anti-Barrier Sniper, Scavenger, Incendiary Rifle Rounds, so solar snipers will scorch targets. Solar Fulmination, ignitions do increased damage in an increased radius. And then Sniper's Meditation, sniper hits grant stacking sniper rifle damage. Be ready to pull out those Whisper of Worms for some high DPS. They also talked about some armor tuning changes. I believe there's going to be more, but the biggest thing they mentioned was reserve swapping.
So we've gone in and halved the flinch from PvE enemies. So that's a pretty big one. I'm also, like, a little bit of foreshadowing, but we've gone in and removed the penalties from adept mods. And this is sort of setting the stage for a larger set of mods that will be dropping in a future release. Not too far out.
The proverbial stay tuned for everyone out there as well.
Exactly.
Actually, and also we were talking a bit before the show too, but there's going to be some armor tuning as well, isn't there as well, to like the mods, I believe?
Right. So if you do a lot of raiding, you're probably familiar with the reserves mod swapping shenanigans that you can do, and this is just sort of fiddly and annoying for players. We don't think it's a balance issue, but it is irritating. We didn't want players to have to do it. So now when you switch your reserves mods back off, it'll bring your total reserves back down to their current cap. And to balance that out, we've increased reserves for special and heavy weapons across the board. It varies per weapon type, but it's in the 10 to 15% range.
And lastly, Solstice is coming back, the event that we have every summer. It will be releasing later in Act 2, and here's a look at some of the brand new armor. A cool glowy-like nature with the Solstice, logos and colors, and kind of reminds me of some Trials of Osiris type stuff. They have super cool designs, helmets, and hologram-looking projections. Solstice will also come with some balancing updates. Tech Scout rifles are getting a buff, and Ariana's Vow is getting a buff against barrier shields. Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. Information on Act 2 of Echo is releasing next week. The Solstice event and how content is going to roll out differently in Episode 2 Revenant. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore, news, and mysteries like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.